From the Ron Miller Race Car Studio, this is the Hammer Down Racing Report. And now your hosts, Scott Hammer and Ron Miller.
Welcome, race fans, to the Hammer Down Racing Report for Thursday, August 8th.
Turn me on. There, thanks.
Didn't know you were ready to talk there. My apologies.
I didn't know you had me shut off, or otherwise I wouldn't have tried to talk.
Coming, here, everybody's turned on. Okay, that was you talking. Coming at you live from the Ron Miller Race Car Studio on Facebook Live, also YouTube and Periscope and Twitter. How's it going?
It's a wonderful day.
Good. Lots to talk about tonight. Lots of news. A little bit later on the show, we're going to talk to Scott Schultz again, general manager at Toledo Speedway. They're celebrating their 60th anniversary this weekend and doing a little flip-flop with Flat Rock as far as the nights they're running. Flat Rock's going to run Friday night, and Toledo's going to run on Saturday. And joining us also in the studio, Harold Cook, three-time champion, late model champion at Toledo Speedway.
So we'll talk about the old days a little bit, and where the track was, where it is now, and get a lot of insight as to what racing was like back in the 80s when Harold was the kingpin.
Did you race against Harold?
Absolutely. Harold and I were rookies of the year at Toledo and Flat Rock, same year.
One at Flat Rock, one at Toledo.
Yes.
Right? Gotcha, because you can't both be rookies of the year at the same track.
No.
All right, who beat each other the most?
Oh, Harold was fast.
Okay.
He didn't get the nickname High Buck because... Yeah.
All right, we'll be talking about that a little bit later, as well as all the results, what's coming up, and latest news. Lots of anger issues this past weekend, too. We'll talk about that as well.
Just a spoiler alert, I became a real Bubba Wallace fan.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I thought it was wonderful.
Apparently, Harold also approves of that. Coming up on October 3rd, this is your reminder for the Thursday, October 3rd, Hammer Down Racing Report Dirty 30. We're going to do a 30-lap UMP dirt late model race on the asphalt at Sandusky Speedway.
I wonder if they need a tech man for that race.
I know a guy. Are you available? What do you got going on Thursday, October 3rd?
Be more than glad to be there.
Okay.
That way he can make sure that all the cars are UMP legal and that the tires meet the criteria.
Yeah. So we're going to be running dirt cars on the asphalt at Sandusky Speedway Thursday, October 3rd. It's part of their Budweiser Cavalcade weekend. Actually, it's kicking off that whole weekend. It'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday racing, but just Thursday night for the dirt cars on the asphalt. No dirt on the track, because that would make things pretty hard to clean up for Friday and Saturday when the asphalt cars come. But we're going to be running trucks and bombers in the mid-level class.
That's one class.
One class, yeah. And details are on the Hammer Down Racer Report website, hammerdownracerreport.com.
There's a little sticky note up at the top, so everything you need is right there.
On the Facebook page.
Correct.
You can also sign up, too, if you want to get your name up on that page.
And we appreciate the drivers that have done that and the drivers that we know are going to do that. It gives us a chance to talk about them. And
I'm sure that's going to amp up as we get closer
to
the show. I know Chris and Doug are still working out some of the details on that. What are we, about 2 months out. Yeah. That's coming up. Also, front-wheel drives will be in action. There's going to be the asphalt cars. You guys need to behave over there. What's going on? The front-wheel drives will be the asphalt front-wheel drives versus the dirt front-wheel drives, or compacts as we typically call them.
I've been watching Corey Gum at Oakshade the last couple of weeks, and I think that could be a real fun race to watch.
And he's already got that on his calendar for showing up there.
Well, he should. Really good payout for the compacts.
That's right. Was it 800?
Yeah.
I don't have that on my notes, but it's on hammerdownracerreport.com. There's actually a whole page set up for the Dirty 30. Again, October 3rd, Sandusky Speedway. If you don't have a car and you're just a fan, hope to see you out there for that. Either whether or not you're an asphalt or dirt fan, it'll be interesting.
Dirt cars on pavement.
There you go. Should have everybody. And as reported last week, Hand Jobs Nail Salon has officially come on as a sponsor of that event.
I'm excited.
I'm sure you are. Let's move on, shall we? Racing last weekend. Eldora Speedway. The trucks were down there a week ago Thursday. Did you watch any of that?
I did.
What'd you think?
Boring.
Okay.
And you?
It was all right. It wasn't bad. It's one of the
It was exciting.
yeah. I mean, it's a dirt race.
Yeah.
And they fan out, especially on those restarts. They're just all over. It seemed like the only grip, though, was way up high, which is pretty normal.
I thought it was great seeing Stuart Friesen win his first race in the Truck Series, and I thought it was a pretty exciting race.
Did you see the video of his kid dancing on the back of his truck?
No, I missed that.
It's on our Facebook page. You'll have to check that out.
Okay, I will check that out.
That is killer.
And who was it? Briscoe.
Right.
Came from the back near
Chase
the
Briscoe.
front again. I mean, that was exciting watching that.
Didn't he get caught up in a wreck late? Yeah.
Which one?
Oh, yeah.
It was more than one.
Those cars look like, or trucks, they were all pretty much beat up.
I really thought Matt Crafton would do better.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed in that, too.
Well, there's a lot of luck involved in that racing at that track because they're out of control about 50% of the time.
He's been actively working on his dirt program, and
he's come a long ways with it also.
Oh, he has. At the Summer Nationals, he was one of the ones to watch.
I wonder how. I'm guessing it's incredibly different between driving his modified and one of those NASCAR trucks that aren't really made to go on the dirt.
Yeah, but he's so comfortable in the trucks. He's got about a bazillion laps.
And he's pretty comfortable in his modified. So
Right.
put
Yeah,
those
but
together.
he's fairly comfortable in just about any car you put him in, though. He's an all-around racer, and just fits well.
Has he approached or has he broken Terry's record for consecutive
starts?
races?
I think he might have. I know Terry held it there for quite a while, and someone has surpassed him. And it might have been Matt.
We're talking about Harold Cook's son, Terry Cook, who was one of the stars in the early days of the Truck Series, and
I know he had over 500 starts, consecutive starts.
that's pretty
in the
impressive.
Truck Series.
You know,
Yes.
in the Truck Series.
I remember watching him at Flat Rock. Did he run Toledo too?
Yes,
Okay.
he raced in both late models and sportsmen at Toledo.
Did he win a championship at Toledo?
I believe he did. I know he did at Flat Rock,
Right.
and I believe he might have won one at Toledo also.
He was king for a while at Flat Rock.
And Jerry just destroyed him there in the sportsman division.
Right.
All right, well, we'll get more to the Toledo stuff here. Back to Eldora. Stuart Friesen, of course, he elected not to pit at the start of that final stage and went on to, as you said, win his very first NASCAR Gander Outdoor Truck Series event. World of Outlaw late model driver Mike Marlar ended up fourth. I thought he had a shot toward the end.
And he came from pretty deep in the field.
Dave Blaney won the Big Block Modified Invitational, leading all 20 laps. That was the same night as well. Was not televised. Brian Ruhlman on Saturday won the mod feature. It was family fireworks night. And Ernie Woodward was the Eldora stock winner. Harvey Yoder won the Vors Compact Series feature. Those guys run on the Vors Compact Series. They run asphalt and dirt.
They run all over the place, yeah.
Maybe we'd see if get them at the Dirty 30. If they have nothing on their schedule.
Have to make Thursday night should be pretty open.
Chris Mize, Doug Dock, check out the Vors Compact Series. See if they might be interested in maybe not an official event, but
bringing a few cars along.
Yeah, especially with that purse. Limaland, they wrapped up their point season on Friday night. Matt Westfall got the lead in the final corner in the final lap of the non-wing sprint feature. Jerry Bowersock won the modified feature. Todd Sherman's fifth place finish was good enough for his seventh modified track championship. Chris Douglas dominated the Thunderstock feature, but Tony Anderson.
You know who
track
built Chris
champion
Douglas's car?
there. I do?
Yes, sir.
Am I looking at him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's a Ron Miller race car
Yes, sir.
represented at Limaland.
That was a car that we presented to one of the drivers at Oakshade for perfect attendance, and
How long ago?
like a year ago.
Oh, so it's a Pretty new one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Speaking
all
of Ron Miller race cars,
it's
we
all-
forgot to do your commercial.
well, we just did.
Well, give him a call, 734-856-7223. He's got feature-winning race cars.
If you want a car just like the one that Chris Douglas won with at Lima Land, we can do it.
That's a pretty good endorsement.
Of course it is, because it's good stuff.
Yeah. Waynesfield Raceway Park was in action last Friday night as well as the Rick Ferkel Classic featuring the Fast 410 sprints. And apparently a crash with 3 laps to go took out the leader, second place, and fourth place drivers. Which was good news for T.J. Michaels,
Who was running
third at the
Yeah.
time, and he
I
managed
saw that
to
one
avoid
coming.
it. He managed to avoid it, picked up the win there. Ricky Peterson made a final lap pass on Brandon Moore to take the 305 sprint feature. Brad Struck dominated and led the entire way of the AMSA mini sprint feature. Next race scheduled for Waynesfield Raceway Park is going to be September 7th. It's the Bob Hampshire Classic. So they're running that limited schedule with Shane Helms running the track. Sounds like they may do some more races next season.
I was going to say, hopefully this is working out for them, and
I think I saw a picture. They had a huge crowd there.
proves to be profitable enough that they do a full program next year.
Fremont Speedway, Cap Henry, former guest of the show, won the 410 sprint feature.
I was just thinking, if the owners at Millstream saw that, maybe they would be encouraged enough to open the doors.
I know you have the phone number's on their website. Maybe we'll get everybody to call. Go to millstreamspeedway.com, and the phone number for the track owners right there on the website.
And tell them to look at what's happening at tiny little Waynesfield and think of what could happen at Millstream. If only.
If only. Paul Weaver earned his 50th career victory at Fremont by winning the 305 feature. Sean Valeni won the Memorial Day truck makeup feature event. He then went on to win again in the regularly scheduled truck feature. They had double features for the trucks, and Mr. Valenti won both of them. No surprise there. Oakshade Raceway was in action on Saturday night as well. Devin Shields won the late model feature. Bob Gregory got his second sportsman win of the season. Jeff Oakes was your Bomber A main winner. Eric Carr got his first compact feature win of the year after we were talking about Corey Gum. He had a tire go down in that feature late in the race and fell through the running where I think he ended up finishing 6th. So he was going for 5 or 6 feature wins in a row.
I think that would have been 6 in a row.
Cody Stetton was your Bomber B main winner. Picked up his first feature win.
Amazingly,
that's another
in a Ron Miller proven chassis car. Yeah,
another Ron Miller race car picking up a feature win. Look at that.
Shameless plugs. Shameless.
Well, maybe if my car was fixed. Well, mine's not a Ron Miller race car. Mine's just like a converted.
It's a half breed.
It's a mutt. Flat Rock Speedway was in action on Saturday. Current Street Stock Point leader Greg Stude won the Corrigan Race Fuels 100 on Saturday. Troy Bramer won the Street Stock B main. Did I pronounce that right? Bramer?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm going with Bramer. Howard Kelly Jr. was the late model sportsman winner at Flat Rock.
Harold, would that be any relation to Jeff Bramer? Wonder.
I'm not sure. It very possibly could be.
Could be. Maybe somebody listening can let us know for sure.
World of Outlaws were in action last week. Brad Sweet led all 35 laps in Friday nights before the Ironman at Federated Auto Parts Raceway at I-55. Saturday night's Ironman 55 belonged to Sheldon Hodenshield, who led 45 of the 55 laps, and he lapped up to 5th place. He won by over 10 seconds. Donnie Schatz was second in that. So probably not the most exciting race to watch unless, of course, you were a Sheldon Hodenshield fan.
Or if you were Sheldon Hoddenfield.
Sheldon Hoddenfield, yes. Thank you. This weekend it's Knoxville Nationals, and first race last night, Trey Sparks, dude from Washington. He flies from Washington to Knoxville every week to compete in the 410 sprints there. He's never won a feature or even a World of Outlaw event until last night. He won the Brant qualifying night of the 59th NOS Energy Drink Knoxville Nationals. That locks him into Saturday's A main. So a pretty cool deal for him. I guess that's crazy, flying from Washington to Knoxville every week. Anyway, Knoxville Nationals continue tonight through Saturday. World of Outlaw Morton Building's late models, Jonathan Davenport led all 30 laps to win night one of the World of Outlaw Morton Building's late model series USA Nationals at Cedar Lake last Thursday night. Tyler Erb won the dash event Friday and earned the pole for Saturday's 50,000 USA Nationals main event. It was Chris Madden, and only his second time in Bloomquist backup car, taking the big victory on Saturday night. Next up for that series is Williams Grove a week from Friday. Let's talk some NASCAR real quick, and then we'll get Scott Schultz.
How about American Ethanol Series at Merritt last weekend?
It's on here.
It's on there?
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were going to talk NASCAR. And
I was, but
then we're usually
I have
done.
some random notes here after the NASCAR stuff.
Random.
Yeah. Austin Cedric outdueled A.J. Allmendinger for his first NASCAR Xfinity Series win in Saturday's Zippo 200 at the Glen. Allmendinger crossed the line second, but was disqualified after failing post-race inspection. Seems to be a common theme this year. People
that zero tolerance is biting a lot of people.
Yeah. Next up for them is the B&L Transport 170 at Mid-Ohio. Coming up on Saturday, 3 o'clock. That'll be on NBCSN. Chase Elliott won the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series race on Sunday at the Glen. Lots of controversy there. We'll talk about that a little bit later. The Cup is at MIS, Cup Series at MIS on Sunday, 3 o'clock on NBCSN. And Rusty Schlenk, yes, he won the American Ethanol Late Model Tour 31st Annual Wood Tick at Merritt Speedway on Saturday night. Matt Shipley finished 11th in that, and Colin Shipley was 19th.
So Rusty was on the show 2 shows back.
That was win 202, I believe. So since he was on,
so he won 200, 201, and 202.
Yeah, he was on 2 weeks ago, and he's got 3 wins since then.
Yeah.
So I guess Harold's going to pick up a win. Right? Congratulations.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good to me.
Lucas Oil Late Model Series is at Florence Speedway tonight through Saturday for the North-South 100 weekend. And one other note, we're less than a month away from the World 100 at Eldora.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So how about we talk to Scott Schultz, general manager of Toledo Speedway. They were on NBCSN, I guess, last night. The grassroots thing.
Yeah, we missed that.
I saw a little clip they had a link to, and they talked a little bit about Toledo, and then they started talking about Eric Almirola and how he wanted to be a sprint car racer under.
Okay.
I didn't really understand the thing, but it was just like a 2.5-minute clip. It wasn't the whole thing.
Did they say much or do anything about Greg Stillwell? A good Ron Miller Race Cars customer.
Not on the clip that I saw.
Totally selfless.
Not on the clip that I saw. So
self-serving, man.
You are. Here, talk about Ron Miller Race Cars again. How great your cars are, and I'll get.
Well, actually, we did have a pretty good week.
Except for your car. What happened to you?
I don't know. I was racing hard with another guy, and
he zigged when he should have zagged.
We got together and spun, and about an hour and a half later, a car came flying in, and it wasn't pretty.
I'm not sure if I need to dial a 9. We got a new phone system, and for everything else, we have to dial 9.
Last week you said you did.
Did I? Well, it's ringing, so I guess we're good. Never quite sure with our phone. Everything changes every week. Hey, I'm right on time. I told him I'd call between 7:15 and 7:20. Assuming he gave me the right number. Hey, is this Scott? Hey, Scott. Scott Hammer, Ron Miller, Hammer Down Racing Report. How's it going?
And Harold Cook. Don't forget him.
You got a few minutes? We good? All right. Now, you guys, Toledo Speedway, celebrating your 60th anniversary, 60 years of racing this weekend, right? Tell us a little bit about it. Was it a half mile that first year? Okay.
Hey, come on. Harold's got me a little bit. Well, the Scott, the ARCA new car guys that ran back in the day were a really impressive list.
Ramo Stott, Bobby Watson, Andy Hampton, Iggy Katona. Yeah, it just
to say
Ron
nothing of
Hutcherson.
Jack Bowser.
Yeah. The Bowsers were the USAC and ARCA mainstays for years, and Jack ran NASCAR too, and then you get up a little farther, and then of course you got Joy Fair and Joe Ruttman and John Anderson and Danny Bird and Dick Mitchell, and the list just keeps going on and on. And,
Harold Cook, Ron Miller.
Yep, absolutely. So Harold was the man in his day there for quite a few years. Especially at Flat Rock and also at Toledo, and he was right there, and he won a championship or two, and he was the hometown favorite. And then of course his boys Jerry and Terry both were champions there, and both went on to careers on the NASCAR side, and you can just keep going on and on and on. It's just phenomenal. Little known fact is when Jack Roush had his truck team still in Livonia up there, they tested at Toledo probably 6 or 7 times a year when Greg Biffle was their driver. And, they got to be, hey, how you doing on a first name basis with us, because they were there so much testing until they moved to North Carolina with everything. Jack Roush also ran his gong show there when he was getting ready to start the truck team. And if you remember those days, I'm not sure if you do, but
we do.
He had what he called a gong show, and he invited 7 or 8 drivers, and Toledo was one of the tracks he used, and that's where Kurt Busch came from. Kurt tested at Toledo in one of Jack's trucks, and that's where his career started as he moved up through the ranks. But it is like I said, to me, it's surreal. I've been around way too long.
How long have you been associated with Toledo Speedway?
I've been there for 50 years. I've been there. I started when I was 10 years old, and I was just a kid. I remember Weird Harold's first car, his first late model. It was gold, wasn't it, Harold?
Yes, it was.
Gold, and was it a Ford Fairlane?
Yes, it was. Scott,
Yeah.
me and Ron Miller both started racing there at Toledo Speedway in 1970. Again, it doesn't seem like it could possibly be that long ago. I remember the racetrack was, instead of having a concrete wall, it had railroad ties stood on end all the way around the perimeter. And I know I tried to knock them down a few times, and I think I was fairly successful, at least on one occasion. But the improvements that we've seen at that track over the years, it's phenomenal, especially since Roy Mott and Ron Dreger took it back over. It's just, if anybody hasn't been out there since that's taken place, and I couldn't tell you exactly what year it was, you could, but it's just phenomenal.
Well, and the grandstands now are spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're very blessed. And Ron had a great business partner, Roy Mott. He knew what he wanted to do when Sonny Adams sold the track to Ron and Roy back in '99, and we were pulling boards out of the bleachers in the snow in January and February and March to get ready for that middle of May opener in 1999, and it just progressed from there. The city water, municipal water and sewer, moving the pits out to the back, putting pit road in, putting a new lighting system in, paving the racetrack in 2001. In fact, it was done just after 9/11, and Ron and Roy had a big decision to make on whether we were going to run the ARCA race, which at that time was in September. And we, after listening to President Bush and things like that, Ron and Roy decided to go ahead and run the race, and that was the first race on the new pavement back in '01. And it's just, and then about 4 years ago, I think this is the 4th year, we had the opportunity to get the grandstands when all the NASCAR tracks started downsizing, and we were able to acquire those 2 sets of beautiful grandstands from MIS, which sit up towards the Turn 1 area now at Toledo Speedway, and it's just a fantastic vantage point, to be honest with you. But yeah, we've been very blessed with those opportunities. Excuse me, and those kind of, like Harold said, and Ron, to have the opportunity to do that and to rebuild the place, really.
When was the?
It's just been a blessing.
When was the quarter mile track added? Has that always been there?
Oh yeah, that's been there forever.
Has it? Okay.
Yeah. Now Ron and Harold could tell you that. From the day I set foot in there in 1968, I do remember it being there. 68 would have been the first year I was there, right late in the year was the first time I ever went to a race. I was 10 years old.
Scott, little known history. Kathy and my very first date was at Toledo Speedway in May of 1964, and
Okay.
I think I poked her in the ribs and says, "I'm going to do that." Yeah, and I grew up.
She's still hitting you to this day.
Absolutely poking me in the ribs. I grew up at Raceway Parks. My dad was big time involved with racing. I'm not sure I had ever been to Toledo prior to our first date in '64. But at that time, they weren't running the half mile, and I can't remember why, but maybe it was an insurance problem. But everything back in '64 and the first part of '65 was on just a little track.
Okay.
Harold said Harold said we were rookies the same year. I actually ran some. Oh man, I forget what they were even called, but it was prior to them running figure eight. They ran just on the quarter mile,
Okay.
and then we ran figure eight up through '69, and in '70 was when Harold, Ron DeWitt, and I were all rookies of the year.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and, some of that stuff is cloudy to us. I mean, especially to Ron and I, and records. Obviously, back in those days, record keeping and history people and things like that, really, it wasn't what it is today. And for part of that's too bad. You wish you could find some of that stuff. They lost a lot of stuff in the fire when the ARCA, ARCA office burned there a couple of falls ago. And so we lost a lot of photos and things like that. And we had just started making progress. Ron and Brian Norton and Jim Hale had just started making progress on getting some of all that stuff together. I should say organized. How's that? And, and then they lost it all in the fire. But, every so often we run across something or someone that has something and, wants us to have it, and we're very grateful for that, needless to say.
So we've got a lot of listeners, Scott. Maybe if anybody has any of the really old memorabilia and wanted to donate it, I'm sure ARCA would be glad to accept it.
Sure, and we're not necessarily looking for the original. We'll make copies. We're not asking for anybody to donate things at all. To be honest with you, we're glad to make copies if they will share that with us.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Well, Scott, I'm looking so much forward to this weekend to seeing the track champions from years gone by and doing some reminiscing there. And God only knows what we could turn up as far as information.
Yeah, I just talked to Ron tonight on my way home from the office. And he has 32 former champions confirmed.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool. We have families of some of the deceased champions. Nolan Johncock's daughter called from Kalamazoo. Nolan was the super modified champion at Toledo, I think, in '62 or '3. And they saw the photos on Facebook, and they are just thrilled. And they want to be a part of it and represent their dad. So that's pretty cool. They're coming all the way from Kalamazoo. We got all kinds of things, and like Harold said, so many stories, and waiting to see all these folks. And Danny Bird is going to try to be there. Danny's battling some health issues. Harold, he's got to be, in his mid-80s, maybe late 80s, I would think?
I think early to mid-80s.
Yeah, he's battling some health issues, but he has told Ron this is very important to him. And I don't know how long he'll be able to stay or if he's going to make it, but his plan was to be there. And, he may not be able to get out of the car, but, we're looking forward to having him around. It's those kind of things. And, the racers of today, and I'm speaking to all you guys there, and I know you echo the same thing I did. I am thrilled to death that I had the opportunity to see what I saw in the 60s and 70s and the people that built this sport of short track racing in the Midwest.
Yeah,
it is like nothing else there ever was.
Yeah. I'm so lucky that I had the opportunity to racing with or for John Markham back in a year, and of course racing with Danny Bird and Joy Fair, and they both helped me a lot in my advancement in my career. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Danny. Unfortunately, Joy is no longer with us, and we keep losing more and more every year.
Yeah, I guess to the racers of today, and so look, it's a different world we live in. We all know that the world's changed, times have changed, and you got to change with them, or you're going to get sucked right up, and it's going to go right on by you. But Harold, you and Ron, and all these folks, you're the ones that set this in motion, running 3 and 4 nights a week and working your tails off. Not that they don't today, but nobody had time to do anything but work on their race car. If there was an argument or something to be settled, it got settled that night because, dang, you had to get to the racetrack the next night. And just the mentality of racing today, and again, the world's changed, so we've had to change with how we run the racetrack and, how things are handled and things like that. But, I can't emphasize enough how privileged I was to watch you guys.
Scott, are you saying that racing
learn from all this?
Are you saying that racing today is too sanitary?
No. I just think it. So what I'm saying is, and it's good for Ron Miller race cars. Everybody buys everything, and part of that is technology.
Oh, absolutely. When Harold and I started, there was no such thing.
No, exactly. Yeah. If they need something done, they pay to have it done.
Ed Howe was working out of his garage.
Absolutely. But in those days, that's what you did, and you learned what was going on with your race car and how to fix a part. Of course, in those days, you could go to the junkyard and get a part. You can't do that today. And the advancement in technology and just the race car, and Harold knows he's a tech guy. You guys all know this. The technology of the race car has changed so much. And some of this stuff, you got to hire to have it done. And it's changed the face of racing. But you know what? Everything has changed. Every industry has changed. But it was so cool, in those days to watch you guys. We saw each other 3 and 4 nights a week sometimes, and you were just racing. That's what you did. You went to work. When you got home, you had a sandwich, maybe, and you went in your garage and you started working in your race car. And no disrespect to the racers of today. They do a great job and with the cost today, I don't know how any of these guys do it. I really don't. With the exception of a few, the cost of everything is just out of control and to no one's fault. It's the world we live in. And it's just happened, and it's made it very difficult to maintain a race car. And God bless the guys that have race cars now and work every day, because, man, I don't know how you guys do it. I really don't. And my hat is off to every dirt and asphalt and drag strip guy and off-road guy and go-kart guy and bandolero guy and teams and families that do it, because you are sacrificing a lot. And it's tougher for everybody to make things work. But, we're very positive. We're very positive about the future. We have to keep digging and scratching, just like everybody else. And but Saturday night, we're going to look back, and we're going to reminisce. And like Harold said, we're going to have fun seeing all our old friends and talk about the old days and just have a good old time. And I hope anybody that's ever been to Toledo Speedway, I hope you come out, because you're going to have a good time, too.
Yeah, we're talking to Scott Schultz, general manager of Toledo Speedway, about the 60th anniversary celebration coming up this weekend. Now, Toledo Speedway and Flat Rock are swapping nights. Flat Rock's going to run Friday night, and Toledo Speedway, as you said, Saturday. What was the reasoning for that?
Well, tough to draw a crowd for a bigger show on a Friday night at Toledo, or any track for that matter. There's not a lot of Friday night tracks anymore. So we thought we would flip nights. We did this 2 years ago. We were finding that the bigger late model races, we were not being able to be successful from a business standpoint on a Friday night. So we said, no more Friday night big late model races. We'll run them on Saturdays. So 2 years ago, we flipped nights just for one weekend. And it actually was pretty decent, not too bad at all. So last year we didn't do it but because of the way the schedule fell. But this year we wanted to do it. And so when we put our schedules out there in December, we had already set this up, and we knew we were going to do a 60th anniversary show, and we wanted it to be on a Saturday night. So if you live a couple hours away, you can make it.
So what's
Friday nights are tough.
What's on tap then Saturday night at Toledo Speedway? What can people expect?
Well, Saturday night we have 5 divisions. We have a 60-lap ARCA Late Model Gold Cup race. Going to pay the 100-lap purse for 60 laps. We also have our Late Model Sportsman on the half mile, and they've got 2-point races left, and that's getting tight. And then on the short track, we're going to have, of course, the fabulous figure eights. We're going to bring the Flat Rock Street Stacks down just for one night only, and the factory stocks from Toledo. We'll start there. It's $1 popcorn, $1 hot dog, and $1 pop night all night long. So we'll roll back the prices a little bit. At 7 o'clock, we're going to introduce all the champions, and then we'll get into our features-only format. We're just, we're looking for a lot of fun, a lot of excitement. We've got all kinds of things going on. The first 300 people through the gate, adults, I should say, get a free Miller Lite racing hat. Pepsi's going to be there with the Pepsi Summer giveaways. We've got a special insert in the program sheet that lists all the champions by year. It's going to be in full color. Just a little keepsake for the fans, and then we're going to do something for the champions too. It'll be a little bit different than that, but I won't tell you what it's going to be right now.
Oh, so it's going to be a surprise.
It's just a little something. It's just a token of our appreciation for being around and being a part of the history, and it's just really cool. I'm really excited about it, and man, the weather forecast has got to be the best we've had all summer, I believe.
Looking good.
Finally.
Yeah.
It sounds like
I think Harold and Ron could attest to that.
Yeah.
as well as us.
Sounds like a night to remember.
The short tracks have really struggled. Everybody has this year. I talked to Gary Howe over at Kalamazoo this morning, and he just came off a big race on Wednesday night, the Clash. And everybody's struggled, but it's all about the weather patterns, and it's been a tough year for everybody. But we're hoping for a good Friday night at Flat Rock and a great Saturday night at Toledo. It's going to be cool. It's really going to be cool. I think we're going to have some surprise guests that didn't get back to us or didn't correspond with us. I want to say, and we're hoping for a couple surprises. We've had a couple people say, "Well," and we don't want to put their name out there, and then somebody said, "Well, you said they were going to be yours." Well, we don't want to do that. So we're hoping for maybe a couple surprises. But you know what? If they come, it just is icing on the cake. If they don't, we have an excellent lineup of past champions and great people that have built our sport and are very important to us at ARCA and Flat Rock and Toledo Speedways for sure.
All right, Scott. Well, we appreciate the time and wish you best of luck Saturday night with the 60th anniversary celebration, and here's to another 60 years.
Thank you, Harold. We will see you Saturday night. Ron Miller, good luck Saturday night wherever you're going, the casino or wherever you're going.
Yeah, whatever.
You might have better luck there. Oh.
Yeah. But thanks again, and thanks for what you guys do. Again, these kind of things are what's going to help short track racing continue to be part of the conversation and part of the entertainment package in our area. And Scott, what you guys have done, even though you got Ron Miller working with you, things are pretty good. So,
yeah, I'll get even with that one.
Why do you think I'm getting all this in now? I know I'm going to pay for it. But thanks again for everything you guys do. We're very grateful to you.
All right, man. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks for your time.
Thank
Scott.
you.
Bye.
All righty, thanks.
Scott Schultz, GM of Toledo Speedway, getting ready for their 60th anniversary. They had that special on NBCSN. If you can find that, share it with me. I'd like to see that, the whole thing. Before we get to Harold here, a little bit more, a couple other news elements from this past weekend. Did you hear about Richard E. Speck Jr.? 67-year-old was killed Friday night after a couple sprint cars made contact off Turn 4 at Williams Grove Speedway. One of the cars then struck the inside wall and was tossed over the infield fence. Speck was a track volunteer. He was sitting in the back of his truck where the sprint car landed.
I think he was push truck operator. Yeah.
So they canceled the remainder of their program last Friday. Do you hear about the thing that happened at Angola Motor Speedway?
The thing?
The thing.
Oh, no.
The thing. I reached out to both parties involved, both Angola Motor Speedway and Conor Landis, and did not get a comment from either. But
really?
From what I can gather, I don't have all the facts, so this is from what I can gather. Conor Landis won his very first modified feature at Angola Speedway and then was disqualified because his dad came on to the track to celebrate his win with him. and I guess that's not legal there. I guess they may have said something at the drivers' meeting that you can't come out to the track.
Really?
Which I understand is a safety issue, but
well, and the Landis family is,
and they've been around
they've
for
been
a while,
around
yeah.
for a long
Jack
time in
Landis.
that area.
So yeah, that's about all I know there. Just kind of a bad deal, I guess.
And he lost his win because of that.
Yes, but I'm sure he's still considering it a win, even.
Watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, NASCAR suspended three crew members from the number 2 GMS racing team of driver Sheldon Creed, who finished second in the NASCAR Gander Outdoor Truck Series race last week. It was a result of a safety violation at Eldora after ballast fell off Creed's truck onto the track during practice. As a result, crew chief Jeff Stinkowitz, truck chief Austin Pollock, and engineer Jonathan Stewart will sit out the next 3 events just because a piece of ballast fell off.
What do you think, Harold?
I think someone was either awful careless or awful crafty. One or the other.
Yeah, I suppose.
Jeffrey Earnhardt, grandson of Dale Earnhardt, has the remainder of his racing season up in the air after he made an announcement that he parted ways with IK9 and Joe Gibbs Racing. JGR announced that Jack Hawksworth will be driving the number 18 Toyota at Mid-Ohio this weekend. Earnhardt made 7 Xfinity Series starts and scored a career-best finish of 3rd at Charlotte in May. He also made 1 Cup Series start at Talladega and finished 22nd there after getting caught up in a last-lap wreck. One other thing, remember we talked about this a month or 2 ago, Hussett Speedway? I think it was.
They were going to.
They're going to have that race
they were
to
going
win the track.
They were going to give away the racetrack to some lucky driver,
or they could choose $3.6 million cash bounty if they won. It was $2,000 to enter this race, $200,000
right,
to enter the race, and he needed at least 18 entries. And I think that was coming up maybe this weekend or something. It was real soon. The race was scheduled, and only 3 entries were received. So
their entry fees were refunded.
I'm guessing. So the track's back for sale at $7.5 million. So if you want a track in South Dakota, and you got $7.5 million burning a hole in your pocket.
How long can the racing season be in South Dakota?
I don't know. Well, if it's like Sandusky Speedway, it could go year long.
Well, I suppose.
Or even mid-Michigan.
Run any weather. Don't even talk about the midwinter race at Mid-Michigan.
Yeah, you have problems getting there.
Oh. That one's been really expensive.
Harold Cook joins us in the studio here, a 3-time champion at Toledo Speedway, 2-time at Flat Rock, too?
Correct.
Running late model?
That's all I ever drove.
All you ever
late models, yeah.
When did you start running? 1970?
1970, same year Ron started racing. We're both rookies the same year.
And you raced against some of these big names that have been at Toledo Speedway over the years.
Oh, yeah. I've raced against Joe Ruttman, Joey Fair, Danny Bird, John Anderson.
Did you beat them?
I have.
That's how he got to be track champion twice.
Yeah, one of my very first feature wins, which I'll never forget. I passed Joey Fair, Joe Ruttman, John Anderson, and just
in the same race?
In the same race, went off and hid from them. It's not as if I started up front and fell into it. And
But you got to be honest. Back then, it was really hard to cheat because there weren't a whole lot of rules. And again, we're talking about that nickname of Highbuck. There was a reason that they called him Highbuck Harold.
Yeah, actually, I wasn't driving my own car at the time.
What car were you driving?
I was driving for Red Springs and Brakes out of Detroit.
And it was a real high quality car.
It was. It was a very good car.
What kind of car was it?
It was a Camaro. It was one of the very early Howe cars.
Now, was that back then? Was that still stock chassis, or was it how stock were they back then?
It had a stock front frame clip on it, standard steering gearbox. There's no rack and pinion.
Steel body,
and it was. They always kept that car just looking
great. Always beautiful.
It was always immaculate, and. We had an engine that was built by Seaport Automotive here in Toledo, and had a lot of success with that car.
Now, did you run anywhere other than Toledo and Flat Rock?
We went as far as Odessa, Missouri with it on one occasion. Unfortunately, we had some engine problems once we got there, and we ran at Lorain County. Won a race
He ran
there.
Sandusky some in a car that he had borrowed.
Yes,
In the winter?
No,
Okay.
in the fall. One of my very first adventures in a Ron Miller race car.
And you got a win in it?
No.
Oh.
I don't. I got to help set the car up for Ron,
Oh. Did he win?
the big guy. No. But we sure had fun doing it.
He came in whining about the car, and I can't remember why I wasn't driving, but
I think you had to work that
maybe
day.
could be. But he came in whining that the brakes were vibrating and something else was wrong. And Ornery Don said, "Pick one, because you only get one of them fixed."
And the pedals were too close to the seat.
Or maybe your legs were too long.
That could be.
They certainly weren't adjustable back then.
No.
Now, I did a little thing on my blog for WIOT a couple of weeks ago, the history of racing in Toledo, and I learned that there was Fort Miami Speedway, which
Right.
is now the Lucas County
Fairgrounds.
or Rec Center, whatever. And that was a half-mile, quarter-mile, 5/8-mile dirt track. They had all
Right.
three there. And then Raceway Park started up in 1950, running
Right.
dirt half-mile and quarter-mile, I think they had there.
I think I started going to Raceway Park when I know I did when I was
Watching races.
Yeah, watching. My dad owned 2 race cars and sponsored another one. He sponsored Jim McCune, owned Curly Stoichkov's car, and Butch Stoichkov and Ray Stoichkov he sponsored. So, and then he had a little Jeep that it was a push truck. So he would drop me off at the front gate, and I'd go in and watch some races and play with the little plastic cars under the grandstands. And he'd push cars. When the races were over, I'd meet him back out in front, and we'd
Ron,
go home.
was plastic invented at that time?
Yeah, I think they were.
Sure it wasn't made of stone?
Harold, I really wanted to get one of those little 29-cent race cars, and I found one on eBay a few years ago, and I had to pay $40 for that sucker. But I've got it.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to Raceway Park? Or is that before you? Or
No, I never had the opportunity to go to a race. The only race I ever went at Raceway Park was to watch the AMA dirt bikes there. And oh God, what an awesome show they put on there!
Mm-hmm.
It was in the 70s, and Raceway Park had a fire and
Right.
burnt something in the
That's right, I
grandstand,
remember
and
hearing about
and
that.
they lost the date. And the date I think for the AMA bikes went to I think Lima, and.
Could be.
do either of you remember the first year at Toledo Speedway when it was dirt?
No.
I don't.
No, Ron actually went to the Toledo Speedway before I did. I
Yeah.
think my first year out there as a spectator was, I think, 68. I remember Joy Fair was driving a 1958 Ford, and Danny Bird had I think it was a 61 Ford Starliner, and Dick Mitchell was there. And
Oh, Harold, back in the mid '60s, as I said when we were talking to Scott, Kathy and my first date was May 23rd of '64, and
Very good.
pretty cool, huh, wife? And there was, I know Roy Kress was racing at the time, and
I remember the name.
He moved on up through, but there were a couple of cars that were genuinely creative. The rules were really loose back then, and all they raced at that time was on the quarter mile. And there was a Buick sedan that had 2 right rear tires. Somehow they had come up with a way to mount 2 tires. And oh yeah, don't look at me like that, Scott.
Like a dually?
Oh yeah, it was a dually, only on the right side.
And that was legal?
Apparently, he won a lot. Rules were very loose.
Did they have inspectors back then?
must
Yeah.
not have had.
We were talking on our way into the studio. A friend of mine and I had a 57 Ford that we were racing, and I had started in the back of a heat race and worked my way up, and was passing for the lead with just a couple of laps to go, and I was passing for the lead, and I was watching the car next to me, and I didn't know that this guy was working me up the racetrack. Pretty soon I'm in the fence.
What about you? Have you had any bad crashes
Oh yeah,
at Toledo Speedway?
I had one there. Of course, back then you didn't deal with concussions, but I know I had a headache for a week.
You said you were trying to take. You said, I think I remember seeing some of the old pictures they've been posting for the 60th anniversary thing, and you said it was railroad ties that
Yes.
were like driven into the ground. That was the
Absolutely.
wall. Was that all the way around
All
the
the
track?
way around the
The
racetrack.
whole track was nothing but railroad ties.
Was there anything behind it, or was it?
No,
After a while, they improved it and they put some Armco on it. But when Harold started racing, it was just railroad ties stuck in the ground all the
Did
way
that
around the
stop a
racetrack.
car?
Oh, in a hurry.
Okay, the cars didn't go through that. There was
No, they didn't go through it. But boy, you didn't want to get up near it.
but you tested it.
oh, more than once.
That wall would eat you alive.
So you couldn't just scrape along it. I
the,
was assuming.
the concrete, once they put the concrete in, you could kind of glance off of it and keep going. But those railroad ties, it was like a vacuum. Once you hit it, you're there.
It'd be like just teeth ripping the side of the car off, I'm
It was
guessing.
awful. It was awful.
How long did they have that before they put either the Armco or the
I think probably around 72
Two.
was when they put the Armco
That would
around.
be my best guess. Would be
when-
about 72.
When they put the Armco on the inside of the railroad
Well,
ties.
no, that I'm not sure of, but I think they put the concrete up at about 73 or 74.
Yeah, sounds right.
Wow. What about the quarter mile? Did they have a wall on that?
Same
back
thing.
then?
Same thing.
It was railroad ties.
Wow.
And there was a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the racing today compared to when you were racing? I know you're still heavily involved in it and everything.
The racing is great, but the expense part should be more under control than it was today, or is, because I think we'd have more participants if it was more affordable. And
Absolutely.
I think some of the classes have just grown out of financial status, I remember when they first started the sportsman class at Toledo Speedway, Ron came up with a good workable set of rules. And God, I wish I could find a copy of them, because
Did they use those rules?
yes,
Oh,
they did,
absolutely.
Oh.
for a short period of time. And this was when Sonny Adams owned the racetrack, and any time that his son wanted to do something different, they'd change the rules. And it kept growing and growing until it got to be almost as bad as the late models as far as expenses concerned.
But paid $300 or $400 to win.
Yeah, and even at Oakshade, where Ron and races and I work out there, we have bombers out there that have thousands of dollars in their engines, and racing for next
Harold,
nothing.
there's times I'm standing by my pit and one of those bombers come by and I've got motor envy. I'm telling you. I mean, you can just tell that is a potent piece under the hood.
Oh yeah, yes, we have several, and
That's when my car goes by, right?
Absolutely.
I figured as much. So when did you get out of racing? I mean, as far as out of the car.
86 was the last year that I actually physically drove in a race car, and we even won a feature race in that last year. But I'd lost my sponsorship, and both of the boys started racing, and I was helping them, and we're working out of a 2-car garage, and it just became kind of clogged up. So, yeah, it was time for me to throw in the towel.
So you
and
stepped
help
down
the
then on your
kids.
own?
Yeah. I stepped
What year
down.
was it when we introduced Hoosier Tires out there? And I felt like the Maytag repairman, and we had hooked Harold up with a couple sets of tires, and actually we had some real good success early on. And
Well, I think it was about 84 or 85. 85. I won
Must
a lot of races in 85. And we had the Michigan Challenge Cup up there at
Right.
Flat Rock, and I won the bulk of those. I mean, it just,
at that point, I think the tire rule at Toledo and Flat Rock was any $90 tire. So it didn't matter the manufacturer or the compound or anything else. It just had to meet the price criteria.
Did they have slicks back then?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, very
No.
good.
Hoosier, back to the 60s even?
Hoosier, oh yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Well, and as Harold,
I wasn't around back
no,
then.
as
so.
Harold mentioned early on, we had some great big wide tires back then.
Dualies, apparently.
Well, and it really wasn't until probably around 1970 that they came up with the 10-inch wheels and the.
No, it was actually past that. Was because when I first started racing in 1970, we had the 13-inch
Yeah.
wide tires.
Okay.
And
12-inch wheels.
12-inch wheels, and I think about a year or 2 years after that, they finally downsized it, which, of course, they didn't want the tires sticking out past the fenders, which really was a good rule.
Right.
And because you were running an open-wheel car and driving it like it wasn't.
Well, a little bit of rubbing.
So you're going to be at Toledo Speedway then on Saturday night?
I will be there. I'm looking forward to it.
Maybe they'll have like a cool past champions race, and they'll give you guys all a car. Would that be cool?
Dirt cars on the asphalt. I'm taking Ron's.
Well, no, that's at Sandusky. That's later. That's in October. I'm assuming the cars that are there, maybe some of the factory stocks. I don't know.
I would.
I'm just making this up.
Yeah.
They're not actually doing it that I know of.
No.
It could happen. I don't know. Maybe I should have asked Scott earlier.
Ego's get in the way, you know. Somebody
Yeah.
starts talking about how good they could be, if only.
Yeah.
Who is the greatest champion that's ever raced at Toledo Speedway, in your opinion?
I was.
Second best then.
No, we had so many great champions. I mean, Danny Bird was great. Joey Fair won a lot of races. Only till after he quit racing did he tell us some of the things that he cheated on.
He cheated? You're
yeah.
ruining it. I remember watching him when I was younger.
Yeah.
My
And,
parents, when they were their first date, I think, was watching Joy Fair win, either at Toledo or Flat Rock.
Could be.
I had a tough enough time trying to keep my car straight and keeping it legal as opposed to cheating, where some people spent most of their time trying to devise ways of getting the advantage.
Well, that's what racers do, isn't it?
Yeah, some do, some don't.
I don't.
I
I'm
mean,
not smart enough to.
Yeah,
Scott, the first halfway decent race car that Ornery Don and I built would have been probably in 1971. Was our blue Chevelle, and the McNutt family had a service station just down the street from where our family service station was, and John Anderson was their driver. So Ornery Don and I would go down there and see what they were doing at night, and then run back to our shop and copy it.
Well, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, well,
You got to learn
we
somehow,
were learning,
right?
yeah.
I had a little bit of that in there too. And John Anderson, he was just a terrific fabricator.
He was a great driver, but he was an unbelievable fabricator.
Did you ever have any aspirations to go beyond just running a late model, maybe going up to ARCA or...
Yes, but it never materialized. And of course, I was pretty much a family man, and if you're out running NASCAR or something, you're going to be gone every weekend. You're not going to have any home life to speak
Just
of.
ask your kids.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, my son Jerry, he's gone every weekend. He's up to MIS this weekend.
He's a crew chief?
Car chief.
Car chief? Okay.
Car chief.
Who's he? Who for who?
Clint Boyer in
Okay.
the 14 Stewart House car.
Not a bad gig.
It's an excellent gig, but he's got under contract, and he's going to be gone every week through the whole season. And
Now, what's Terry doing?
Terry is now working for JEGS, which is one of the largest
Right.
aftermarket race car part suppliers in the country, or actually in the world, one of the top. And he is a technical service advisor. But then when they have a race team, an oval track race team, and when they go racing, he is the spotter / driver coach for Cody Coughlin.
Okay.
And he keeps,
One of Jag's kids.
Yes. Actually, it's John Coughlin's son.
Okay.
Jeg Coughlin is Cody's grandfather.
Okay.
And there's like 4 brothers that run the business now, and I think 3 of them are into drag racing, and John's son Cody is into oval track racing.
Now, does Jerry or Terry have kids of their own?
Jerry has a son that is racing the modified series, and he's quite successful.
The NASCAR modified series?
No.
No. Dirt modified.
Dirt modified.
Oh, okay.
He won last weekend at
Oh, we're talking Taylor.
Taylor, yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor.
Dirt?
Duh. He won last week at Portsmouth, Ohio, the week before
Yeah.
at Atomic
Okay.
Speedway, and he's.
So the family tradition's continuing on.
Oh yes, yes, for sure.
Now, aren't a couple of the grandkids involved in racing too, besides driving? Don't they work for a couple of teams?
Taylor, actually, he drives, but he also works for Joe Gibbs Racing. He builds wiring harnesses for all the NASCAR Cup cars.
Right.
Taylor does?
Yes.
In addition to driving. I did not know that
Additional
part.
driving, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
He managed to work enough hours that he can sneak out to let him leave on a weekend to go racing.
They probably understand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I mean, they do a fair amount of traveling. I mean, they drove up last week from
They're based in North Carolina, aren't
North
they?
Carolina, Stanley, North Carolina, which is a suburb of Charlotte. And they drove up to like Portsmouth, Ohio, which is right on the Ohio River.
Right. Been there, raced there.
It's a beautiful track there.
Oh, it is.
But, like
Except early spring when it's underwater.
oh, yeah. It's right on the river.
Everything was underwater this year, though.
Yeah.
So, well, Harold, thank you, and I hope we have fun. It's Saturday. We'll miss you out at Oakshade, but sounds like a cool deal going on at Toledo.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
but the
will
cool
be.
thing about Harold being at Toledo is that the rules will be wide open.
That's right. So everybody can cheat on Saturday at Oakshade.
I don't think so.
We can call Saturday Cheaters Night at the Shade.
I can see Chrissy and Pam. They're just going, oh, shut up, Scott. So last week we played How Many, and was How Many Bombers other than Bubba, because we had Bubba Kundick on last week, was going to be at Oakshade. And Erica actually thought Bubba was the winner of that because he picked 35, but which there was 35, but it was other than Bubba. So the correct number was 34, and Des picked it.
Really?
Yeah. He was the winner. So this week, I figure, how about we do how many late models are going to be at Toledo Speedway on Saturday night? And we'll start with Harold.
Ooh.
This is a guess.
This is a guess, yeah. Whoever's closest without going over.
No, you're talking the Gold Cup, not the late model.
Not the late model sportsman, the Gold Cup.
The Gold Cup cars.
Yeah.
18.
18. Okay.
Good guess. Good guess. Go ahead, Scott.
Oh hell, I'm going to go with 20. What do you got?
It's features only. Boy,
It's 60th anniversary though.
I know. 16.
Ooh.
21?
21 for Kathy. Okay.
19.
Yeah, that's probably a good guess. All right, well, we'll see what pans out on Saturday.
And what do we win for that?
Absolutely nothing. Not a damn thing. Coming up this weekend, as far as racing, other than Toledo Speedway, there's a lot going on. Attica's still off due to the fair. I believe they're back in action next Saturday night. Next Friday night. Limaland will be in action tomorrow with the 2019 award celebration night. That's like their last event of the season.
Last event. That's hard to believe, Scott.
They're going to have NRA Sprint Invader, Modified, and Thunderstock Invitational races, followed by their awards banquet. Pits will open at 4:30, gates at 5, racing at 7:15. Tickets for general admission, $15 there. And it's kind of a unique thing they do because they have those invitational races, and then I forget what they call it, but they have like all their champions race each other.
With all the rainouts, I think they've only had 6 shows.
Yeah, but then they have the awards banquet as part of the racing program that night, which is kind of cool. Last week was the end of their points, so that's at Limaland tomorrow night. Flat Rock on a Friday. Flat Rock on Friday night. It's the UAW Local 3000 night, also Kids Night. 12 and under will be admitted free and get a free hot dog. They're going to have figure 8, street stocks, and a 250-lap enduro. Pits will open at 4:30. The spectator gates at 5:30, racing at 7:30. $15 for general admission there as well. Saturday night. Now you got lots of choices here. Toledo Speedway, their 60th anniversary celebration with the ARCA Late Model Gold Cup main event series. They're going to go 60 laps. They also have the late model Sportsman, Figure 8 factory stocks, and street stocks as well. Pits will open at 1:30, so they're going to open early there for the pits. Gates, main gates, spectator gates, 4 o'clock. Racing at 7, $15 general admission at Toledo Speedway. Oakshade, big night there as well.
Big night. This is, if you're a dirt fan, don't miss Oakshade. If you're a pavement fan, don't miss Toledo.
It's rescheduled from June 1st, I believe it was. We got rained out. This
is going to be a big deal.
Central Collision Night featuring Boss non-wing sprints, the Buckeye Outlaw Sprint Series, plus late models, sportsmen, and bombers. Gates will open at 4, racing at 7. Tickets are $14 there for adults. So, yeah, it'd be nice the return of the sprints again, and the weather's looking good. Ryan Weekman, speaking of which, weekend weather pit stop guy from WTOL, he's on vacation until Monday, so... Which is okay, because the past 2 weeks we haven't really needed.
No,
and we're not going to need them this weekend.
We know this weekend's going to be spectacular.
Good. Yeah, no worries on the weather this weekend.
Mid-80s, sunny.
Yeah.
We're good.
I think the next chance of rain's not till Tuesday, so we're good. Fremont Speedway is going to be in action Saturday night as well with American Power Sports Night, featuring 410, 305 sprints, and the trucks. Gates open at 4, racing at 7, general admission $15 there. And Sandusky Speedway, $1 night, which is pretty cool, featuring Lake Erie stocks, Renegades, beginner stocks, vintage American race cars. I think there's like $1 hot dogs there as well.
Right.
Gates open at 4, racing at 7, and it's just $1
to get in.
Yeah, I believe so. Well, I think it is. I think it is. For some reason, I didn't put that. Chris was listening, so if he can tell us. So a cool deal there, and that's the racing action scheduled for this weekend. That's pretty much all I got. See you to my notes. We're done.
Cool.
Thanks to Scott Schultz, General Manager from Toledo Speedway, for talking to us tonight. Harold Cook, thank you for coming in as well. And if they do have a race Saturday night, you are going to win because you were on the show. Maybe they'll have like a run around the quarter mile.
Yeah.
Sounds like you have a premonition.
We have got.
I'm just trying to give them ideas. I don't know.
Our track record, Harold, is very good for our guests going on and winning the weekend after they've been on. And Rusty Schlenk had a bit of a dry spell, and was on the show.
We fixed that.
We fixed that, and he hasn't lost since. So
he said he was going to be on the show every week after that.
Yeah.
Win 201 a couple weeks ago.
I wonder where he's going to be this weekend.
I don't know. He'll probably decide Saturday morning or tomorrow morning if he's going to run tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we'll be back live next Thursday at 7 o'clock, and it's going to be an awesome show. No idea what we're going to do, but it's going to be awesome.
We never do.
No, we'll figure it out. We'll come up with something pretty good. Maybe we'll talk to a sprint car winner from Oakshade.
All right. How many sprint cars do you think are going to be at Oakshade Saturday?
This is how many be?
Yeah, well, we don't have to do the whole thing. I'm just wondering what you think.
I have no idea. I know no clue. You said 25, so I'm going to go with 25.
I'm thinking 25 sprint cars.
I'm thinking 28.
I think it's going to be an absolutely killer night at the Shade.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I know I saw Wilson. Was it Chad Wilson?
Chad Wilson.
Yeah, it was had a post on there trying to get everybody to come out because he wants this to be big so that
so they're back every year.
The sprint cars will be a yearly thing at Oakshade Raceway. So it'll be cool. We'll see how many fans we get and if the cars show up as well.
I know of the 5 of us here, 4 of us are going to be there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
you're going to be there.
He's not going to be. Yeah, I got you. I'm following you now with the math.
Oh,
little slow.
Math never was your strong point, Scott.
I wish I could be at both places at the same week. It's impossible, but
you're pretty much at Oakshade every weekend, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I probably haven't missed 5 nights in 20 years.
When was the last time you missed a night? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
Okay. Well, we'll miss you. But I understand that you got some cool stuff going on there. Well, I guess Jerry and Terry are probably busy. Is any of your other family going to be there?
Jerry is going to be there.
Is he? Okay.
And Terry probably will not make it due to a time constraint. He would have to drive up after work Friday, go to the Speedway on Saturday, then drive back on Sunday. And that's a long drive.
All right. Well, it'll be cool no matter what.
Oh, it will be.
Thanks to Dave Kemmer for helping out. What is he? Associate producer. That was the title we gave him. And make sure to follow us on our Facebook page, Twitter, at Hammer Racing Report. Or is it Hammer Report? I don't even know our Twitter handle. Hammer Report. It's at Hammer Report. Don't follow at Hammer Racing because I don't know what that is. It's not me. HammerdownRacingReport.com. Make sure if you have any plans or any inkling of running the Hammer Down Racing Report Dirty 30 at Sandusky Speedway on October 3rd to fill out the form. We have it posted on, actually we got it pinned on our Facebook page where the link to it. So it's Sandusky Speedway.
If any of our
site.
listeners want some really cool Hammer Down swag, they can still order there.
That's at HammerdownRacingReport.com. Yep,
All
that's
right.
there too. Everything's at HammerdownRacingReport.com. You can get to anything from that's your gateway to everything Hammer Down Racing Report.
The
So
whole
go there.
world.
Yeah. If you have any ideas, any show ideas you want us to cover, you can shoot me an email, ScottHammer@iHeartMedia.com, or send us a message on Facebook, whatever.
Or call Ron Miller Race Cars.
There you go. Don't
at
forget
734-856-7223.
Yeah. And not only does he have race cars,
Shameless.
he has a studio, the Ron Miller Race Car Studio.
That's it.
We're wrapping it up. That's it. We're done.
See you next week.
Okay. Bye.
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 You have been listening to the Hammer Down Racing Report from the Ron Miller Race Car Studio. Listen on demand on iHeartRadio.